Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, can the Baltimore Ravens win Super Bowl 60? Really? Let's talk. We are in that midway point between championship weekend and the Super Bowl, but there's not a lot going on in the NFL. Nothing to really talk about, nothing to really report other than the Pro Bowl. And there's no real news coming out of the Pro Bowl other than Baltimore Ravens players are not choosing to participate. And truly, I can't blame them. The NFL Pro Bowl looks nothing like what it used to back in the day of my youth, right? Real competition, real guys going for it all. Nobody wants to get hurt and things like that, but the level of competition and the level of attraction has greatly decreased. So I'm out on that. I'm not watching any of the events, that kind of thing. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have some meaning, but it's just not for me at this point. And so, like I told you earlier, when we change from January 31st to February 1st, I'm done talking about last season. My only points of reference from last season will be pointing towards February 2026. That will be the thought, the methodology of everything we do here at the GM when we do commentary, okay? And so the question of today, starting out, what I believe is a long off season. We literally have, from today, we literally have 7 months to September 1st. I say September 1st because I believe that's the real official start of the next regular season. By that time, your roster is constructed, your cuts have been made, your signings have been made, the preseason is over, and now you're preparing for game number 1 in next season. And so can we win a championship? Well, you have to ask, do we have a championship level general manager? I think that that's questionable because we haven't built a team that has got over the hump yet, right? Now, I'm not always going to say that it's the general manager's fault because we don't have a complete roster construction. We still have some weak areas, but it has been true, right? Now, in truth, there should have been some plays made both over the last 2 postseasons for the Baltimore Ravens that could have earned us at least 2 AFC championships and at least 1 Super Bowl visit, but those plays were not made. And I still think that the deficits on the roster stand out. Do we have a championship level head coach and coaching staff? I think that if we just lean on John Harbaugh already having a Super Bowl, it's easy to say yes. But since that time, the Baltimore Ravens have not really been close in John Harbaugh. Last, how many years is that? From 2012-13 to now, you're looking at 12 or 13 years past a Super Bowl. So the question has to be, have we really been close? Yes, we did visit 1 AFC championship last season, but it was evident there were some coaching things and some performance aspects of that game that did not get us over that hump, right? And so you have to begin to really question, do we have a championship level head coach? You guys have been with me long enough to know all the way back to last year, or even when I first started the channel, I have been talking about, a need for a new sound at the head coach. Nevertheless, we're going to go into the 2025-26 season with the same head coach. So that remains to be answered. Do we have a championship level head coach? So you got to go down to the players now, because that's where the game really happens, at the player level. So do we have a championship level quarterback? I think that can be no and yes. No, because we never won a championship with Lamar Jackson, but yes, he has all of the requisite skills to get the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl and clinch it. He can definitely throw it. He can definitely pass it. He's definitely accurate. He's a playmaker. He can move the pocket. He can run with the ball. There's nothing that Lamar Jackson can't do. So you have to say, yes, do we have a championship level, Super Bowl level running back tandem? Yeah, I think Derrick Henry and Justice Hill absolutely form a backfield that can promote the Baltimore Ravens with getting to the Super Bowl. So now you got to ask, if you got the backfield intact that will lead the Baltimore Ravens to a championship, or could lead to a championship, do you have a championship level offensive line? Now, right there is where we have to press pause, because this roster construction along that offensive line is questionable, right? We do have some questions going into the next season at our left tackle position, at the left guard position. And I think that has to be a no for right now. Okay. Do we have championship level wide receivers? Well, I think that's also a question. because once you get past Zay and Bate, there's a whole lot of questions about receivers 3, 4, 5, and 6 if you keep 6 this season. And so we have some questions there. Do we have a championship level tight end room? I say so, right? No matter what happens with Mark Andrews this year, I think so. I think we have a championship level tight end room, right? So when you look at the offensive side of the ball, there are some things in place that would promote a Super Bowl run, visit, and win. But there are some things that have to be answered on the offensive side of the ball. When you jump to the defensive side of the ball, do we have a championship level interior defensive line? I think we have to say yes, only because they've been consistently stopping the run over the last 2 seasons. So then you got a question, do we have championship linebacking? That's outside linebackers and interior linebackers. And I think that's a question, right? We've had pass rush issues from the outside for a couple of seasons, actually for a pretty good while, since maybe you could say Terrell Suggs, Zadarius Smith, and or Matt Judon. We've had some questions about guys who can actually get to the quarterback on their own without scheme or help. So I think there's a question there. Do we have a championship level secondary? I think that's also a question. I think we have quality players at both cornerback and safety, but are they championship level? And so when I say championship level, that doesn't mean we have to be elite and number 1, top 5 at every single position. But I think we have to have solid quality at every position group and in all 11 starting spots. Again, every position doesn't have to have Pro Bowlers. Every position doesn't have to have, first round picks. But I think every position we need to have quality at the starting spots and the depth. And so I think right now when we look at this roster, and this is in truth, I've looked at the competition we have next year, and I think that we could go out with this roster, and I think we could go out and win 10 or 11 games right now. That's no free agency. That's no draft. I think we could go out with this roster and win 10 or 11 games next season, which would make us a playoff team. You see, because when you think about the roster that I just went over, which again is where it's going to be decided at, we have an offensive line, for example, that I said we have questions about. If you just keep the same guys who are going to come back next year automatically, and you have questions at some positions, you could absolutely move Roger Rosengard to the left tackle position, slide Daniel Faalele back out to the left tackle position, plug in Voorhees at left guard, plug in maybe Samak, or however you pronounce his name, at right guard, and you have a starting 5. Now, I didn't say that that would make a championship offensive line. I'm just saying with the roster that we have, you could fill in those gaps and make the playoffs, I believe. You know who quarterback and you know who the running back. And when an inexperienced offensive line, an offensive line that has some questions, what does the Baltimore Ravens do best? Run the ball. And I think that that is absolutely what you do when you have an offensive line composed of questionable parts. So yeah, I think offensively we could go right out and win 10 or 11 games. When you look at the wide receiver room right now, you would just have Zay, you would have Bate, and you would have Tez Walker. Well, that's a quality starting 3, top 3. And but I think that you got everything you need. You have your guys with good hands with Zay and Bate. You got speed with Bate and Tez. So I think you can do some things when you look at our tight end room. You have one of the best tight end rooms, if not the best tight end room in the league. So I think you absolutely can go out with the guys who are going to be under contract offensively and put on good performances. When you look at the defensive line, the interior starting 3 from last year, they're going to be intact again. Metabike, Pierce, and Travis Jones. When you look at the outside edge rushers, you got Odafe, Tavius Robinson, David Ajabo, Kyle Van Noy, and Adisa Isaac. They're intact. When you look at the interior linebackers, you could just go right back with Roquan and Trent Simpson. And then in the secondary, you keep Marlon Humphrey in the slot, Nate Wiggins. And then if you had to, you go TJ Tampa, plus Jalen Armour-Davis, who you kind of forget about is on that roster because you never really seen anything from him. But I'm saying, you know what? You got some things that are intact. And then your safety room, okay, Darius Washington is out, so you would have to go with Bo Bray just based on who's under contract. And then you got Kyle Hamilton. And so I absolutely think you could field a team right now with no free agency and no draft, and you could go out and win 10 or 11 games. Now, that means if we can pull off some free agency pickups, right? You strengthen areas where you might be vulnerable. If you can do in your top probably 4 or 5 picks, if you can build quality depth, you can definitely strengthen the team. And that puts us in position to go from right now winning 10 or 11 games to being back in that 12, 13, 14 game win category. And so I absolutely think we have a team that's composed of parts that is Super Bowl worthy. But in order for us to win a championship, I think this is the off season where we must develop more chemistry defensively, especially in the secondary with communication. We need to be able to have the guys who are going to actually play. We need to have them step up and just do their job. And we need our pass rushers to rush the ball. Offensively, we just need discipline. That's really all we need offensively, is just to be more disciplined. You know, stop with the offside, stop with the illegal formations, stop with the holding after a big play. And I think that if we just take care of those basic aspects of ball, you know, we just come in being a better team. So I'm kind of excited about next year, waiting to see what happens. And so you guys let me know what you think. Do you agree that we could step on the field right now with the guys who are actually under contract and went 10 or 11 games with no free agency and no draft? Do you agree with that? And then also, do you think with the pieces that are in place, starting with general manager, head coach, quarterback, so on and so forth, do you think we have the caliber of team and talent that could warrant a Super Bowl visit and win? So why are you always talking about Super Bowl, Belanger, like nothing else matters? Well, nothing else matters. What else are you going to talk about? What else are you going to expect your team to do when you see the talent, when you see the ability, when you see that you have a franchise level quarterback, a superstar quarterback, a legendary running back, and a budding star at wide receiver? On the defense, you have a transcendent talent in Kyle Hamilton and some good other supplemental parts on defense. What else are you supposed to expect, right? And so there's nothing else to talk about. My whole commentary from now through the end of next season is going to be Baltimore Ravens ending up in the Super Bowl. I'm here for it, right? And I hope you're here for it. Let me close out right here. If you made it this far, do me a favor, hit the like button, right? Because I want to tell you a few things that's coming up for the GM. One, the GM will have a name change once we cross over 1,000 subscribers. So I hope you guys will help us reach that mark. I won't reveal it until we get ready to break that marker. Number two, our schedule for the off season is going to be 4 days a week minimum. We will bring new content 4 days a week. And to be honest, we will only report news when it's report worthy, right? Everything that happens to a Baltimore player, everything that happens in the Baltimore organization is not worth your time and or my time to get on here and make a video about, right? And I appreciate the guys who can do that, but that's just not how I'm designed. I'm not designed to get on here and talk about everything that happens, right? But we are in that time of the season where there's going to be a lot of news coming out. There's going to be contract extensions. There's going to be potential trades. There's going to be the combine. There's going to be mock drafting. There's going to be free agency coming in March. There's going to be the draft coming in April. There's going to be exciting information coming out, and we'll be here for that. And so during that time, we may have to up what we do, but we will be here a minimum of 4 times a week. Also, I got something exciting to me, so I hope once we implement it, it'll be exciting for you, something you can get behind. I'll tell you a little bit more once we work out all the kinks of that, but it's coming real soon. Hopefully, it'll be here by the time March 1st gets here, so we can begin our conversations about free agency. And so, man, I got a lot of good content coming to you, man. If you guys connect with the GM, man, you guys only connect because you understand what we're trying to do here in the context of just bringing honest perspective, no fluff, right? And so Like I said before, I'm not here to entertain you, because really I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just a guy who is sharing his energy and thoughts, right? We all have it, which is how the GM was birthed. It was birthed out of those inner thoughts of how you want your team to move, like who you want your team to sign, who you want your team to get rid of, and what would get your team over the top and into the Super Bowl. We all have that inner GM. And so my goal, man, is to create an opportunity for all of us to explore that. So, man, I really appreciate you guys, man. I wouldn't have thought that we would be, 880 plus people in. I didn't have that as an idea all the way back when we started. So, man, I appreciate you guys for connecting. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't liked this video yet, please hit the like button. And again, answer those questions about, do you think the Baltimore Ravens can get on the field right now and win 10 to 11 games next season? And do we have a Super Bowl caliber franchise from the GM down? I'm out.